Well, good morning. My name is Pastor Ron Olson, and I welcome you to this Good News Wednesday. You know, the best good news comes out of something not so good, something bad. After all, what would be good about the news if it weren't in contrast to something bad? You know, I can imagine that Adam, while in those early days of life in a beautiful garden before they ate that forbidden fruit, I imagine that Adam didn't turn to Eve and say, "Wow, what a beautiful day it is, Eve." Because all days were good. All days were beautiful. It was just another day in Eden. But these days, in this fallen world, if you're like me, you come to really crave good news. Because there's so much bad news all around. And when you hear a story that's good news, you're naturally drawn to it. Now, what's even better is when the story takes the bad news and tells something good, something very good that came of it. Isn't that great? And that's my theme for today's Good News Wednesday stories. These are stories I would like to call Romans 8:28 stories. You know, Romans 8:28 is this beautiful passage of God's Word in which the Apostle Paul is telling a truth. He says it like this: "We know that God causes everything to work together for good, the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them." And for me, it calls to mind the story of Joseph in the Old Testament, whose brothers treated him horribly, throwing him into a pit, thinking they had killed him, while a band of traveling foreigners who noticed him in that pit pulled him out only to sell him into slavery in Egypt. But stay tuned, as Paul Harvey used to say, for the rest of the story. For out of that pit came the second most powerful man in all of Egypt, who was in charge of the distribution of food resources during that prolonged drought in the Middle East. And when Joseph's brothers came to him many years later, he took the opportunity not to get revenge on them, but for mercy and forgiveness. And here are Joseph's beautiful words to his brothers, who were trembling with fear because they'd been found out. Joseph says this to his brothers: "You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so that I could save the lives of many people." Isn't that beautiful? Forgiveness. And speaking of forgiveness, you know, well, in our culture, it's not exactly a high value in our secular society. It's because we are such a power-hungry culture. And in that act of forgiving, the one who forgives releases his power over the other one. You see, when I forgive, I release that person from the prison I had put them in because of my unforgiveness. But the most wonderful thing about forgiveness is that in the act of forgiving, I release myself from that prison as well. Now, you know that so many people in their electronic communications these days, they use these little symbols called emojis to express their emotions. You know, smiley faces, sad faces, because emotions are not easily seen in written communication. They can be so easily hidden or sometimes misinterpreted in our written communication. This year, that yellow smiley face emoji turned 50 years old. But did you know that that smiley face emoji is actually a lot older than that? I read a story about archaeologists who have discovered a 3,700-year-old pot with, guess what? A smiley face painted on it. What is better than a smiley face? Well, there may be one thing that's better than a smiley face. This year, a group of emoji designers in Finland have proposed an emoji for forgiveness. What a wonderful thing. Here's what it looks like. Isn't that great? I wonder, had this emoji been designed thousands of years ago, I wonder if Joseph might have painted this emoji on a vase and placed it in each of the brothers' bags for their trips home. What a gift that would have been. Forgiveness that arose out of the pain and suffering that they had caused him. Now, here's another example of something very good coming out of something bad right here in South Dakota. Did you know that even here in South Dakota, the coronavirus pandemic has taken many hundreds, thousands of people out of work and put them in the precarious place of food insecurity? That means that they don't really know where their next meal is going to come from. That means that our feeding ministries of mercy, such as Night Watch, are so very important. Well, beginning this next, the first Wednesday of November, First Church in Sioux Falls, First United Methodist Church, Sioux Falls, will be entering into partnership with Feeding South Dakota to distribute tons and tons of food to those who need it. And here's from their website. In fiscal year 2018, Feeding South Dakota as a whole distributed 12.2 million pounds of food in the fight against hunger. That's a lot of food. Now, our partnership with Feeding America provides us with the access to millions of pounds of food that is donated by corporations all over America. And the website continues on to say, every single week, Feeding South Dakota assists in providing temporary food assistance to approximately 21,000 hungry individuals and families in our state. And that their backpack program gives food every week to over 5,500 kids who otherwise might go hungry. Isn't that great? But did you know that you can be a part of this ministry? Because we're looking for 10 volunteers to help with the distribution of that food. On Wednesday, the 4th of November, that's the first Wednesday of November, from 5 until 8 in the evening. Volunteers can start as young as 11 if they are with an adult. So guess what that means? It could be a family. What a great thing this could be for a family to be a part of the solution to eradicating food insecurity right here in Sioux Falls. If you'd like to explore this option, I think that'd be a great thing. Please call First United Methodist Church at the number I will provide on the screen right here for more information. It's 605-336-3652, just for more information. And the ministry is asking volunteers to register online because they want to reduce the physical contact in this day of COVID-19. So here's the link to register. As you'll see when you get to this website, there are two options for volunteering. One is to respond as an individual, and the second is to respond as a team. So here's my closing challenge this Good News Wednesday. Why not be a Romans 8:28 story this week? Why not be a Joseph or an Apostle Paul or even a smiling emoji in someone's life and be a part of this fantastic feeding ministry, even in this time of great news? I know you will be blessed as you bless others who are in need. Well, happy Good News Wednesday to you all. Have a great week. Goodbye.